Imagine waking up and feeling the world has shifted, as if you stepped through a hidden portal that only appears when you finally let go of a deep wound. That sudden sense that the people you once knew are now strangers, that old conversations feel like echoes from another lifetime, and that a new frequency hums through every breath you take. It's a feeling many of us have brushed against, but few have ever named. Today, we dive into the mystery of temporal line jumps and social grids, exploring how healing trauma can literally raise your vibration and transport you into a parallel version of your life. I've spent years wandering through the corridors of quantum consciousness, studying how the brain's electromagnetic field interacts with the subtle energies that many ancient traditions speak of as the Akashic field. Along the way, I've worked with healers, neuroscientists, and people who have experienced what they describe as a quantum shift after intensive trauma work. What I discovered is a pattern that bridges the language of physics with the language of mysticism. And it all begins with the concept of a temporal line. Think of every possible version of your life as a line on an endless highway of possibilities. Each line represents a distinct timeline, a sequence of events that could unfold based on the choices you make, the beliefs you hold, and the vibrational frequency you emit. Now picture the space between those lines as a shimmering grid, an energetic lattice that connects people who are resonating at similar frequencies. In this grid, you are not alone. You are a node, linked to others whose thoughts, emotions, and intentions echo yours. When trauma embeds itself in the body, it creates dense pockets of low-frequency energy. Imagine a radio stuck on static, the signal clogged with interference from old pain, fear, and shame. That static doesn't just stay inside you. It radiates outward, keeping you aligned with a grid that mirrors those low vibrations. You find yourself surrounded by relationships that reinforce the same old patterns. Friends who unintentionally hold you in that same frequency, and environments that feel comfortable precisely because they are familiar. Healing, however, is a process of clearing that static. Techniques such as breathwork, somatic release, emotional freedom technique, and deep meditation begin to dissolve the knots of stored trauma. As the nervous system shifts, you start to generate higher frequency waves, gamma oscillations, heart rate coherence, and a sense of expansive calm. In the language of the field, your personal antenna is suddenly tuned to a brighter station. When that shift reaches a certain threshold, the grid you are attached to can no longer contain you. The low-frequency lane you were traveling on becomes too narrow, and you snap, almost imperceptibly, into a neighboring line, a new temporal reality that matches your upgraded vibration. Consider the story of Maya, a woman who spent years in a high-stress corporate job while carrying the burden of childhood abandonment. She tried countless self-help books, but the weight never lifted. One day, after a month of daily F-tapping combined with a guided breathwork practice, she noticed a subtle change. The office gossip that once felt like a lifeline began to feel hollow. Her longtime friends started canceling plans, not out of malice, but because the energy between them no longer resonated. At the same time, a group of artists she met at a community garden seemed to recognize a part of her she had never expressed before. Maya described it as stepping through a doorway. It was as if the world had rearranged itself while I was still standing in the same spot. That experience is not a metaphorical feeling. It is a literal realignment of your personal grid with a new cluster of frequencies. As you ascend, the old grid filled with familiar criticism and resistance begins to fade, and a fresh grid, populated by individuals who embody higher truths, becomes visible. This is why you may notice former friends drifting away, why some people suddenly label your growth as too intense or pretentious. They are still anchored in the old, low-frequency grid, and your elevated vibration appears chaotic to them, a mirror reflecting the parts of themselves they have not yet faced. Now, let's pause for a moment. If any of this resonates with you, smash that like button and share in the comments how you've witnessed a shift in your relationships after a healing breakthrough. Your stories help us map these subtle transitions together. Moving forward, it's essential to understand that the jump is not a one-time event, but a series of micro shifts. Each time you release a layer of trauma, you fine-tune your internal frequency a little higher, and the grid responds. You may find that new opportunities appear, jobs that align with your purpose, creative projects that flow effortlessly, or communities that feel like home without effort. Conversely, you might also encounter resistance, moments when old patterns try to reassert themselves, or when the familiar comfort of the previous grid pulls at you. The key is to stay anchored in the present vibration, to practice regular clearing techniques, and to trust that the grid you are moving toward is designed to support your highest expression. Scientists studying heart rate variability have shown that coherence, a state where heart, mind, and emotions synchronize, correlates with increased access to what they call the field of possibilities. In quantum terms, coherence reduces the noise in the wave function, allowing a clearer collapse into the desired reality. In mystical terms, coherence is the alignment of the soul with the divine frequency. Both perspectives point to the same mechanism. By raising your vibration, you narrow the range of potential timelines to those that match your new state of being. In the next segment, we'll explore the most vivid illustration of this phenomenon, a moment I call the quantum shift. It's the instant when the portal fully opens, and you step into a reality where the old critiques dissolve, and you are surrounded by beings who reflect your newfound truth. We'll walk through a real-life example, examine the physiological cues that signal the jump, and discuss practical steps to navigate the new social grid with grace. If this is blowing your mind, hit subscribe and join us as we continue to unravel the hidden architecture of our lived experience. The journey into the quantum realm of relationships has only just begun. The instant the portal opens is like a sunrise breaking through a night that is stretched far longer than any ordinary darkness. In that split second, you feel a subtle pressure in your chest, a gentle tightening that is not pain, but a signal that your nervous system is aligning with a new pattern. Your breath becomes deeper, more rhythmic, as if the air itself is inviting you to inhale possibility and exhale the old static that has kept you tethered to the previous grid. At the same time, your brain begins to emit a higher frequency wave known to researchers as gamma, a rhythm that appears when the mind is fully present and the heart is in a state of coherence. This combination of heart, mind, and breath creates a field of clarity, a kind of internal antenna that locks onto the frequency of the new reality you are about to step into. If you have ever experienced a moment of profound insight after a meditation, a sudden feeling that everything has shifted even though the world around you looks the same, you have likely brushed the edge of this quantum shift. The body releases a cascade of neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, and a surge of endorphins that reinforce the sense that you are exactly where you need to be. Your muscles relax, your shoulders drop, and you feel a lightness that is not simply emotional but physical, as if gravity itself has been recalibrated for a higher vibration. Notice how the environment responds in subtle ways. The colors on the screen might seem brighter, the sounds clearer, the taste of your coffee richer. Even the people you encounter begin to behave differently, not because they have changed overnight, but because you are no longer resonating with the same low-frequency patterns that once attracted certain personalities. Old friends who once mirrored your doubts may now appear distant, their energy no longer matching the elevated tone you now emit. Their criticism, once a relentless echo, fades into the background, like static that can no longer interfere with a clear signal. At the same time, new faces appear, people who seem to understand without words, who smile with a recognition that feels ancient, as if they have been waiting for you to arrive on this higher plane. One of the most striking illustrations of this phenomenon comes from a woman I will call Maya. She spent several years working through childhood abandonment issues using a combination of breathwork, somatic release, and daily intention setting. As she cleared each layer of trauma, she reported feeling a gradual lift in her inner tone, a sense that she was becoming lighter. One evening, after a particularly deep session where she visualized herself stepping through a luminous doorway, she woke up to find that her roommate had moved out without warning, leaving a note that simply said, "I need space." Rather than feeling abandoned, Maya felt a profound sense of relief. The same day, she received an invitation to join a collaborative art project with a group of creators who shared her newly discovered passion for expressing healed emotions through visual media. Maya describes that moment as the exact point where the old script closed and a new chapter opened without me having to write it. Her experience mirrors the scientific description of a quantum shift. The heart entered a coherent state. The brain emitted high-frequency waves, and the external field responded by aligning with her new vibrational signature. So, how can you navigate this transition without feeling lost or overwhelmed? The first step is to cultivate a daily practice of grounding. Grounding is not just a metaphor. It is a physiological process that stabilizes the nervous system, allowing the new frequency to settle into the body without causing disorientation. Simple techniques such as walking barefoot on natural earth, visualizing roots extending from your feet into the ground, or holding a stone that has been charged with intention can anchor you in the present moment. When you feel the pull of old patterns trying to drag you back, return to your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, and remind yourself that the old grid no longer serves your highest expression. Second, set clear intentions for the kind of community you wish to attract. Intentions are not vague wishes. They are precise statements of the energy you want to embody and the relationships you aim to nurture. Speak them aloud, write them in a journal, or embed them in a meditation. For example, you might say, "I invite into my life people who celebrate my growth, who challenge me with kindness, and who share a commitment to authentic expression." The act of vocalizing these intentions sends a signal to the field, aligning the probability space toward those who resonate with your upgraded vibration. Third, remain open to the mystery of the new grid. The social structures you encounter may differ dramatically from what you are accustomed to. You might find yourself in circles that value collective creativity over competition, or in groups that prioritize emotional transparency over social politeness. Embrace these differences as opportunities to expand your own capacity for empathy and understanding. When you encounter someone who appears to challenge you, ask yourself whether the discomfort is a reminder of an old pattern trying to reassert itself or a genuine invitation to grow. The answer often lies in the quality of your internal response. If you feel a sense of curiosity rather than fear, you are likely on the right track. Fourth, integrate regular check-ins with your body. As you settle into the new grid, subtle imbalances can arise: tension in the shoulders, shallow breathing, or a lingering sense of isolation. Use a simple body scan each evening. Close your eyes. Bring awareness to each part of your body and notice where you hold tension. Breathe into those areas. Imagine the breath dissolving the knots and release any emotions attached to them. This practice not only maintains the coherence you have cultivated, but also prevents the buildup of new low-frequency residues that could pull you back toward the previous grid. Fifth, celebrate the milestones no matter how small. Each time you notice a new connection forming, a creative idea flowing effortlessly, or a moment of deep peace, acknowledge it as evidence that the jump is solidifying. Gratitude amplifies the vibration, reinforcing the field that supports your new reality. You might keep a gratitude journal, noting 3 things each day that felt aligned with your higher frequency. Over time, this habit creates a positive feedback loop, making the new grid feel more natural and inviting. It is also essential to recognize that resistance is a natural part of the transition. The old grid does not disappear instantly. It lingers as a shadow, offering familiar comforts that can feel tempting when the new terrain feels unfamiliar. When you notice yourself yearning for the old patterns, pause and ask what need those patterns were serving. Often, the answer is a desire for safety, acceptance, or identity. By meeting those needs consciously through practices that nurture self-love, community building, and purposeful action, you can release the old attachments without feeling deprived. Scientific research on heart rate variability supports this approach. Studies have shown that individuals who practice regular coherence training not only experience reduced stress hormones, but also report higher levels of life satisfaction and a greater sense of agency over their circumstances. In the language of quantum physics, coherence reduces the entropy of the personal wave function, allowing a clearer collapse into a desired outcome. In the language of mysticism, coherence aligns the soul with the divine rhythm, opening pathways to realms previously hidden. Now imagine the moment when you finally step fully into the new grid. The portal fully opened, and you stand on the threshold of a life that feels both familiar and astonishingly fresh. The air feels charged with possibility, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to reflect the truth you have uncovered within yourself. You notice that old criticisms no longer sting. They bounce off the surface of your heightened awareness, leaving you untouched. Instead, you receive feedback that lifts you, that encourages you to expand further. The people around you echo your growth, offering support that feels effortless, as if they have always been waiting for you to arrive. This is the heart of the quantum shift, a lived experience where inner transformation is mirrored by external reality, where healing is not a solitary act, but a catalyst that reconfigures the social matrix you inhabit. It is a reminder that our inner worlds are not isolated islands, but integral parts of a larger field of possibilities. By tending to our wounds, by raising our vibration, we do more than heal ourselves. We reshape the very fabric of the collective experience. If you have felt any of these subtle signs, whether a sudden ease in your relationships, a newfound clarity in your purpose, or an unexpected invitation that seemed to arrive at just the right moment, let me know in the comments below. Your stories help create a community of explorers who are navigating these shifts together. And sharing your experience can illuminate the path for someone else who's just beginning to notice the vibrations changing. For those who are resonating with this message, consider giving this video a like. A simple click signals to the algorithm that you found value in this exploration. And it also tells me that the frequency we are discussing is striking a chord. If you feel called to dive deeper into the hidden architecture of our lived experience, subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next episode, where we will explore how to intentionally design your future timelines using visualization techniques rooted in both science and ancient wisdom. Remember, every breath you take is an invitation to align with a higher grid. Every intention you set is a seed planted in the field of possibilities. And every act of love you extend is a bridge that draws new, supportive souls into your orbit. The journey is ongoing, the shifts are continuous, and the universe is always listening. Stay present, stay curious, and keep raising your vibration. The next portal may be just around the corner, waiting for you to step through.